Hey guys, what's up? It's Biscuit Boo Horror Reviews here with a review of a movie that I found while I was scrolling through Amazon Prime looking for something to watch. And I stumbled upon this film called Devil's Express from 1976. This film had an amazing plot summary. And I knew after reading the plot summary, it would either be a right up my alley, kind of amazing trash classic, or it would be a boring mess. This film has to do with a martial arts master fighting a demon that lives in the metro tunnels under New York. That's the plot. Put simply, this movie is kind of a Mondo Bizarro Blaxploitation kung fu horror film about an Afro kung fu master who has to face off against a demon slash zombie in the New York subways who is there because one of his students stole an amulet from a cave in China. That's the plot. This movie, if you couldn't have guessed by the fact that the plot is ridiculous and the title is just as ridiculous, is poorly acted and written. It's really, you can tell they tried, definitely, but it's cheesy as hell on both ends. The film is decently shot and lit, and the sound mixing is alright. Like, from a technical standpoint, this film is very well made when you consider that it was shot on a fairly low budget. One of the big problems I had with this film, watching it, was the pacing. The pacing in this movie starts off pretty slow. Then it picks up a bit when the main character and his student go to China and they're training, and some spooky shit happens about 20 minutes in, and then it drops again, and then it picks up again, and it becomes like a gang crime action film. Then it becomes a weird, then it becomes like a weird demon film, and it picks up again with it being a kind of drama, crime, gang film, similar to, I guess The Warriors is like the best comparison I could make, because that's one of the big gang action films from the 70s that I'm familiar with. What there is for makeup effects and gore is well done. There isn't a lot of gore in this film, but there's one scene in particular of a corpse missing a head, which I thought was pretty well done. And in the beginning of the film, there's a backstory for the amulet that gets stolen that is never really explained at all, ever. And that one involves people being beheaded, but it's never really that graphic. But yeah, what there is of gore and makeup effects is well done, albeit a little cheesy looking. But like I said, one of the big problems I had with this film, one of the only problems I had with this film, was the pacing. Because it'll become interesting and entertaining and fun and cheesy, and then it will drop and become boring for a few minutes, and then it will pick up again for a minute and a half of just kung fu in the middle of the streets for no fucking reason at all, other than we have to make this movie have a runtime. I will say it goes from being funky and funny and wacky to slow and back and forth, and how this film is paced is honestly very baffling to me. But other than these slow bits, which is 5-10 minute chunks of the film's usually pretty entertaining in a different way almost a different way every single time. I mean, you're obviously going to run into it being entertaining in a cheesy horror movie aspect multiple times, and you're going to run into it being entertaining in a kind of cheesy kung fu blaxploitation film way multiple times as well. I'll be honest, I was genuinely entertained by this film, but then again, I was drinking pretty much straight vodka while I was watching this movie, so I can't, and I'm still a little buzzed right now while recording this review, so I'm I'm probably not the one to ask on whether or not this movie was good because I just had fun with it. On the Gore meter from 1 to 10, 1 makes it look like Nosferatu, 10 makes it look like Peter Jackson's Brain Dead. Devil's Express, also known as Gang Wars, sits at probably a 2.5. It really isn't super gory, and I think that's not really one of the big reasons you'd want to watch this movie, considering it's a kung fu gang action blaxploitation horror film. You want to watch it for the kung fu and the ridiculous characters and some of the ridiculous dialogue, which this film definitely has quite a bit of ridiculous characters and dialogue. This movie is for sure a trash film. Like, it is a trash film, most definitely. But it's a kind of one of those trash films that's unique in the sense that it mixes genres. And it doesn't mix them necessarily well, but it mixes genres that I don't really think have ever been mixed together before to make a film that is wholly unique. And this film is definitely, if anything, unique. Especially with how it ends. Like, it's got one of those anticlimactic endings that feels unsatisfying. It's like, it's not satisfying. The ending of this film is not satisfying at all, honestly. But at the same time, it makes sense. Like, it fits in with what has happened with the film so far, honestly. At least that's how I felt about it. This movie is probably the first and last of its kind when it comes to kung fu, blaxploitation, gang action horror films. That being said, there's a lot of fun to be had with this film, but it is no Dolomite when it comes to fun blaxploitation films. It's no Blackenstein when it comes to fun blaxploitation horror, and it is no Warriors when it comes to gang action films. It's very much a kind of middle-of-the-road movie. I think some people will enjoy this film more than others. Those who are more into blaxploitation and like old kung fu films might enjoy this film more than people who aren't into those genres. As for me, I think this is a pretty alright film and a pretty fun bad movie. I think it's definitely a good one to sit and have a couple drinks while watching. I'm going to go ahead and give this one a 2.5 out of 5. It's far from perfect. It's far from the most entertaining bad movie ever, but it's a pretty fun little bad action horror hybrid that is on Amazon Prime. I would, if you like bad movies, if you want a movie to sit back and have a couple, crack open a couple beers or something like that. Depends on what you drink. You know, that's all up to you, man. But you know, if you want to get drunk and watch a bad movie, this is definitely one I would say is one worth looking into. Anyway, guys, this is Biscuit Boo Horror Reviews signing off. Peace.